Types of scams and how we can recognize them. There's a lot. This is just purely from ScamWatch, and I'm obviously not going to list all of these, but I've just provided them to give you an overview of what's out there. But we're going to talk about the ones that were most prevalent from the ScamWatch website. The following examples that we'll go through next slide are the top 5 most common reports of scams on ScamWatch for 2022. And you can see at the top there is investment scams, followed by dating and romance, followed by false billing, followed by phishing scams, and then the remote access scams here at the end. So we're going to go through each one of these scam types in greater detail in the following slides. Investment scams. They're typically scams that involve promises of big payouts, quick money, or guaranteed returns. Always be suspicious of investment opportunities that promise a high return with very little or no risk. If it seems too good to be true, it likely very well is, and it's highly likely to be a scam. Before you invest, you should ask yourself, are you willing to lose some or all of this money that you are about to give away? Know that if you go ahead, you are investing with little or no protection behind you. The common themes in investment scams, the reasons why they work, is they're preying on greed. They will often have other things like unsolicited contact, panic and urgency, a little bit perhaps of curiosity, but ultimately the common theme for investment scams is greed. Number 2 is the dating and the romance scams. How do they work? Dating and romance scams often take place through online dating websites or other versions of social media like Facebook, for example. But scammers may also use social media and email to make contact with you as well. They have been known to even telephone the victims as a first introduction, again to try and build up rapport with you. These scams are also known as catfishing. We'll talk about some of the common themes of the dating and romance scams. It's typically people preying on other people's loneliness and love. People who want attention, people who want affection. Often it's unsolicited, but of course it could sometimes be preying on your goodwill and often getting you when your defenses are down. Some warning signs of a dating or a romance scam. Escalations of feelings in a short amount of time. Attempting to change communication medium for privacy. For example, changing from social media to WhatsApp or something like that. Their English is poor, though their profile proves it should be anything but. Eventually, though, after time, it might be weeks, months, or years, a story for money will arrive, often coupled with urgency and with desperation. I think you'll find as well that the common themes with dating or romance scams is that they will always need more money and they never keep their promises. There's a real world equivalent. It's a bit of a poor analogy, but this is to kind of get you an idea of how crazy these are. Imagine you're sitting at a cafe having a latte. Someone at the cafe approaches you and they sit next to you uninvited. They offer personal information about their background and their history and how they grew up in Australia, even though their English is poor. And then they quickly express strong feelings for you there in the cafe. They then ask you to pay the bill for their flight home, which is weird, from lunch or coffee, as they can't afford it, but because suddenly they're in a jail in Micronesia. A ridiculous real-world equivalent, but it gives you the idea of just how crazy some of these things are and how the internet as a medium can hide this basic level of interaction. Number 3 is false billing. False billing scams request you or your business or businesses to pay fake invoices for things like directory listings, advertising, domain name renewals, or office supplies that you didn't order and most likely don't want. How does it work? Typically, a business will be sent an invoice. You might find that these are actually sent to different departments within the organization. People in the accounts team, for example, who don't actually know any better. It's a letter or invitation to be listed in a bogus trade directory or to renew your website domain names. Or the scammer might phone you out of the blue to confirm details of an advertisement booking or insist you've ordered certain goods or services. Regardless, it's unsolicited. They're sending it for a service that you don't need. They're banking on the fact that it's going to go to someone who doesn't know any better, think they need the service, and they simply pay it because it only seems like a small amount, so it should be fine. The common theme for this one really is the ignorance or the curiosity. I would say ignorance here. So watch out for that. Again, unsolicited contact is a common theme for this scam. sometimes panic and urgency, whether you must pay it in 20 days or you'll lose your website, those sort of things. But really it's preying on the ignorance here. People don't know any better, so they pay it thinking it's legitimate. Here's an example, it's not quite an invoice, but as an example, you've got an invoice from an organization called Geek Squad, who are a technical support organization. You can see here, thanks very much, your subscription has been renewed for another year. People panic, thinking, oh, hang on, I didn't do that. I'm not paying $413 for this subscription that I didn't want. They then call the number there on the invoice. Turns out, of course, it's not Geek Squad, it's actually the scammer themselves, who will then confirm the details and ask you to pay. Importantly, from this perspective, I would delete and ignore that, unless, of course, you had a relationship with the organization in question, at which point ring that organization directly. Ask them what's going on. But don't just take this contact out of the blue from email and trust it. A real world equivalent, you're approached by someone wearing a DHL hat. They're in the street. They pass you directly, physically, an invoice for delivery services to be paid immediately. Strangely though, you've never actually used DHL, but you pay the invoice with cash because it must be legitimate, right? Again, another exaggerated example, but that's ultimately what's happening here. Some random person online is coming up to you and saying, please pay this bill. As ridiculous as that sounds, this is the third highest scam. Phishing scams. Phishing with a PH. So phishing scams are attempts by scammers to trick you into giving out something of value, which is usually personal information, such as bank account numbers, passwords, and credit card numbers. So it may not be direct money transactions. It might be ways of getting access to your money. How does it work? A scammer contacts you pretending to be from a legitimate business, like a bank, or a telephone or an internet service provider. It may be via email, social media, phone call, or text message, all forms of media they will try and use to contact you and fish for your information. And a lot of the common themes are up on all of this. It's no one theme for this type of scam. It's unsolicited. There'll be a level of panic or urgency. It's ignorance and curiosity. People going, oh, that's weird. I don't remember paying for that. Let me just click this link anyway. Or your defenses are down. You're not really thinking. You're tired. You click on the link just to make the problem go away. Here's an example. It's a phishing email. It's come in and it says, hi, from Amazon. Sorry, and of course it's likely that most people have an Amazon order at some point. So due to a system error, you were double charged. Please click this address to update your billing address. Oh goodness, I don't want to miss my packages. I must click this link immediately and put in all my information. And of course, they'll ask not only for address, but for credit card details, for phone numbers, for date of birth, for passport numbers, all of that sort of stuff that you certainly don't want to fall into the hands of these unscrupulous scammers. Another example, another example, another example. All things around getting people to click on links in their email. The remote access scam, which is a surprise that this one's so high, but the scammer will phone you and pretend to be a staff member from a large telecommunications or computer company. Maybe it's Telstra, maybe it's the National Broadband Network in Australia, NBN, or Microsoft, or any other large organization in your country where you may be from watching this video. Alternatively, they may claim to be from a technical support provider like the Geek Squad, where we've seen before. Importantly, never give the unsolicited caller access to anything. I know that sounds obvious. Here, they're preying again on the ignorance. They're thinking, oh, hello, I am so-and-so from Microsoft calling. I've noticed your computer is slow. The first thing people are going to do is go, yeah, my computer is slow. My computer sucks. And so from that perspective, they're kind of already winning by getting you to agree with them. And so from that perspective, firstly, out of the blue, they've rung you to say your computer's slow. That's where you instantly need to stop and think. Don't be curious. Say, my computer's fine. When I have something wrong with it, I will take it myself and get it looked at. And then, of course, hang up. The common theme in this one is really the ignorance. It's not so much curiosity, but it's just you don't actually know any better. You genuinely think they're a technical support organization because they've said something like, my computer's running slow. As I said, if it's unsolicited and it's from an organization out of the blue, ignore it, delete, cancel. Oh, and this is a common meme that was going around the internet, which I quite liked, which is Microsoft tech support. My computer's infected, you say? Well, please take my credit card number right away. As sarcastic as that may be, that's ultimately what's happening in the scenario. We've got a real-world equivalent again. Someone from Toyota approaches you whilst you are in your car and you're at the traffic lights. They say they need to take over your car because it's not been serviced recently and it's experiencing problems and it's slow. While they're in the car, they steal your wallet, your logbook, and your passport from the glove box and leave a remote tracking device in the car so they can physically steal it later when you're not in it. Again, an exaggeration, but it gives you an idea of just how ridiculous these scenarios are. Some more examples of some email scams, some fake invoices. And there's never-ending other examples. The FluBot scam. Click here to track your parcel. Click here to update your address details. The phone owner will get a text message containing a link, or a PHP link, which is a specific type of coded message. The users, out of ignorance or out of curiosity, will click the link and they'll be invited to do something, to share their information, to install software, to update details. Typically, the phone then becomes infected with malware, and then the infected phone's contacts are added to a central list. Or the bot itself can steal things like banking, contact details, personal information from that infected device. And you can see at the bottom, if your phone is infected, clean it with a factory reset after saving sensitive information. So again, don't be curious when you get links from random unsolicited contact from things like this. Just don't click. Don't be curious. The Hi Mum scam. Now this is a classic. Or Hey Mum, it's me. And you can see that Mum's responded with, well, which me is it? Oh, your oldest and cutest child. Oh, how funny. Oh, that's great. I built a rapport with you. You must be my child. I'll send you money straight away. So here you can see straight at the bottom here, they built a rapport. They've said, hi, Mum. It's circumnavigated the logical thinking parts of someone's brain automatically. And they are immediately in, it must be my daughter, my son. And of course, there's a problem. Oh, goodness. I want to help my child straight away. And you can see it's trying to get you to act urgently and to respond. And interestingly, down here, paying a bill, sending money somewhere. So another one to watch out for.